Now, we are going to see the balag. Because remember, the duty of a messenger, God says, وَمَا عَلَى رَسُولٍ إِلَّا بَلَاغٌ مُبِينٌ, to deliver a balag. So we are going to see what is the balag. So first of all, let's go to chapter 5, verse 99. Chapter 5, verse 99. Yeah, let's see the evidences. مَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ. Then he says, Wallahu ya'lamu ma tubuduna wa ma taktumun. He says, only the notification is upon the messenger. And God knows what you declare and what you conceal. God knows everything. So God now is telling you that only the notification is upon the messenger, the balag. But still, we want to know what is the al-balag. We are curious. But who are we supposed to ask? Are we going to ask Sahih Bukhari? No. Are we going to ask the scholars to lie to us? No. Who are we supposed to ask? The one who sent the messenger. Let's go and ask him. And he has given the answers here. Now, but before we go to the answer, we go to chapter 16, verse 82 also. Let's see what God says, what the balag is. Chapter 16, verse 82. So he is going to tell us which balag he gave to the messenger, Muhammad alayhi salam. Let's check what he is talking about. Chapter 16, verse 82. فَإِن تَوَلَّوْا فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْكَ الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينُ. So God is now telling Muhammad as a messenger, therefore, if they turn away, then only the clear notification is upon you, Muhammad. You get the point? If the people turn away, only the clear notification is upon you. So now God is telling Muhammad that only the clear notification as a messenger is upon you. But now we want to find out what is the balag. We don't know. We are lost. If you ask the Sahih Bukhari scholars, they will lie to you. Don't go there. Stick to God. Let God tell you what is the balag. Now, the next evidence, we go to chapter 42, verse 48. Let's see, still, we want to find out what the balag is. Chapter 42, verse 48, Surah to Shura. Let's see what is the balag. It says, فَإِنْ أَعْرَضُوا, then it says, فَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ عَلَيْهِمْ حَفِيظًا. Then it says, إِنْ عَلَيْكَ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغِ. So if they turn away, then we have not sent you as a guardian over them. Just like the Sahih Bukhari hadith will tell you, Muhammad will guide you through Sahih Bukhari, through the hadith, follow his sunnah, you'll be guided. There's nothing like that. They are all garbages. So if they turn away, then we have not sent you as a guardian over them. No. There is only the notification upon you. In alayka illa al-balag. Now still, we are curious. The notification, what is that? We want to know the balag. Is it hadith? Is it the Sahih Bukhari? What is this? We want to know. We are curious. Let's keep going. So then again, we go to chapter 13, verse 40. Surah Ar-Rad, chapter 13, verse 40. We are still curious. We want to know the al-balag. So, no matter what a journey started, there should be an end of the journey. We are going to see it. Chapter 13, verse 40 says what? وَإِن مَا نُرِيَنَّكَ بَعْدَ الَّذِي نَئِدُهُمْ أَوْ نَتَوَفَّيَنَّكَ فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْكَ الْبَلَاغُ وَعَلَيْنَا الْحِسَابُ. And whether we show you some of what we promised them or cause you to die, then only the notification, only the balag is upon you, Muhammad, as a messenger. Only the balag, nothing else. And the reckoning is upon us, is upon God. The reckoning, the judgment, God will judge. So finally, now we are going to see what is the balag. So now we go to chapter 14, verse 52, Surah Al-Ibrahim. Chapter 14, verse 52. He says, هَذَا بَلَاغٌ لِلنَّاسِ وَلِيُنْزَرُوا بِهِ وَلِيَعْلَمُوا أَنَّمَا هُوَ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ. Then he says, وَلِيَذَكَّرَ أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. This is balag. The balag, God is telling you all over in the verses. In alayka al-balag, this is the balag. The balag, the notification. A messenger is given a message to deliver. Muhammad was given the Quran as a message to deliver. So now we are asking God, what is the balag? Then God says what? Haza balagul linnas. This is notification for the people. This. Now in English, when I say this, it is something THIS. It is something in front of you that you can see. This, if I point, this. Now, this is notification for the people. An-Nas, mankind, because the Quran is a guidance for mankind, according to chapter 2, verse 185. According to chapter 39, verse 41. The Quran is a book for mankind. Not for the Arabs, not for Bani Israel, not for anybody, mankind. Now, this is notification for the people so that they may be warned by it. When you go to chapter 7 verse 2, Muhammad used the book to warn the people. Chapter 6 verse 19, وَأُوهِيَ إِلَيَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ لِأُنْزِرَكُمْ بِهِ وَمَنْ بَلَغَ. He used the same book to warn you by it. Now, so that they may be warned by it and that they may know that He is one God. Surah Al-Ikhlas, chapter 112, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ Allahu Samad, lam yalid, walam yulad, walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. So you can know by this book that there is only one God. So that those of intelligence will be reminded. Now this is the important part. God didn't say so that the people will be reminded. You get the point? So that those of intelligence will be reminded. So even in a classroom, when a teacher is teaching, he's focusing on the intelligent ones. The rest are dumb. So intelligent ones are the ones who are curious enough to listen to the lectures I'm giving from the Quran because they will benefit from the book of God. Not from me, from the book of God. Now, so now we have seen plainly the Quran is the Balaag linnas. So when you hear God says, وَمَا عَلَى رَسُولِ إِلَّا بَلَاغٌ مُبِينٌ, it's a simple thing. God gave every messenger a message to deliver. He gave Muhammad the Balaag to deliver. And this is why we have the Quran today and Muhammad is dead. You don't need a messenger again when the book is there. You get the point? You have to study the book. Chapter 6 verse 155. Go and check. It says just follow the book. You have it now. If you don't understand, then you find somebody who is more knowledgeable than you to explain something to you. Simple. Now, we continue. So we have seen what Balaag is. So to top it all, I go to chapter 72 verse 23. Chapter 72 Surah Al-Jinn. Then we go to verse 23. Now, wow, I'm heading to 3 hours now. Now, when you go to chapter 72 verse 23, it says, إِلَّا بَلَاغًا مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرِسَالَاتِهِ. Then it says, وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. Then it says, فَإِنَّ لَهُ نَارًا جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا. It says, it is only a notification from God and His messages, and whoever disobeys God and His messenger. Listen, because a messenger brings you the notification and the messages of God. You get the point? So now, whoever disobeys God and His messenger, it doesn't mean following Quran and Hadith. Hadith has nothing. That Hadith, those Hadith has nothing to do with God. I'm serious. No single Hadith outside the Quran comes from God. They are all lies. Wallahi lazim. Then indeed, for him is the fire of hell eternally therein forever. Now, we can see clearly the Balaag is the Quran. Now when the messenger brings you a Balaag, you need to obey him. Atiullaha wa atiur Rasul. Atiullaha wa atiur Rasul. Now we want to see, on which basis are we supposed to obey the messenger? Nowhere in the Quran, even by mistake, did God ever say, Atiullaha wa atiun Nabi. No scholar on earth can show you such a verse. There is no verse where it says, Atiullaha wa atiun Nabi. It never exists. Except Atiullaha wa atiur Rasul. Why? Because chapter 7, verse 158 says, Kul, Ya ayyuhan nas, inni rasulullahi ilaykum jami'an. Muhammad was a messenger to all of mankind. So this is why me and you can have the Quran. It doesn't belong to only a particular group of people. You get the point? Now that we have the Quran, we need to obey the messenger. Remember, Muhammad brought the message. He was the messenger. Now we have to follow the messenger. And this is the message. Now, obey the messenger. I take you to chapter 24, verse 54. This verse, the scholars normally twist it out of context. Yeah. Yeah, Brazil naganka dazu bankira naganka. Salam. So we go to chapter 24, verse 54. Salam. So we go to chapter 24, verse 54 to show you how the scholars normally twist this verse. They twist it out of context. And God willing, I'm here to show you their secrets and their lies. Now see it clearly. Chapter 24, verse 54. It says, Kul atiu Allah wa atiu Rasul. Fa in tawallaw fa innama alayhi ma hummila wa alaykum ma hummiltum. Then it says, wa in tuti'uhu tatadu wa ma ala rasuli illa balagum mubin. Clear. It has nothing to do with hadith. It has nothing to do with Sahih Bukhari. I'm going to show you. Say, now the messenger is being asked to speak. Obey God and obey the messenger. It is not talking about prophet. Listen carefully. You are not smarter than God. God says Rasul. Obey God and obey the messenger. You get the point. Now, he says, but if you turn away, then upon him is only what has been imposed. And upon you is what you have been imposed. And if you obey him, you will be guided. And only the clear notification is upon the messenger. Now, the interesting part of this verse now, I want you to understand is, God is now telling the messenger that, but if you turn away, he's telling us, then upon him is only what he has been imposed. And what is the God has imposed on him? That is to deliver the message. وَمَا عَلَى رَسُولِ إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ مُبِينٌ. And we've seen the Balaag is the Quran. He delivered it. Now me and you, our duty is to obey the message. That is when we are obeying the messenger. So if you obey him, you will be guided because he brought the Quran to you. That is the message he's asked to warn you by it and to give it to you. You understand? Now, and only the clear notification is upon the messenger. Checking a message. Yeah, thank you, Mehdi. I've seen your message. Thank you, Jazakallah. Okay. Now, yes. So we can see from this verse, when the scholars want to twist your mind, they will start telling you that, you see, they will quote, وَإِن تُطِيعُوهُ تَهْتَدُوا. Out of some of them, the foolishness they have is, they refuse to see, it's still talking about a messenger. It doesn't say prophet in anywhere in the verse. It's talking about a messenger. And they don't even know the duty of a messenger. وَمَا عَلَى رَسُولِ إِلَّا بَلَاغُ مُبِينٌ. And what is the Balaag? The Quran, chapter 14, verse 52. هَذَا بَلَاغُ لِلنَّاسِ. So now he has delivered the Balaag. Yours is just to obey the message of the Balaag. And this is difficult for the hypocrites and the mushriks. Now, let's move on to the next evidence. When you go to chapter 7, verse 2, this same Balaag the messenger brought, this is what it entails. Chapter 7, verse 2, Surah Al-A'raf. It says, Kitabun unzila ilayka fala yakun fi sadrika harajun minhum litunzira bihi wa zikra lil mu'minin. It says, a book which we have revealed, a book revealed to you, Muhammad. So let there be no difficulty in your chest, in your bosom. That is haraj from it. Let there be no difficulty. That you may warn by it. He should use the Quran, the book, to warn the people by it. Not to use Sahih Bukhari. And then what? وَذِكْرَى لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. And to be a remembrance for the believers. How difficult is this for the sectarians and the hypocrites? Now, apart from that, when you go to chapter 6, verse 19, he says, وَأُوهِيَ إِلَيَّ هَذَا الْقُرْآنِ لِأُنزِرَكُمْ بِهِ وَمَنْ بَلَغَ. Simple. The Quran has been inspired to me in order to warn you by it and whomever it may reach. So if God says, وَإِن تُطِيعُوهُ تَهْتَدُوا وَمَا عَلَى الرَّسُولِ إِلَّا بَلَاغٌ مُبِينٌ, and you are here telling me Sahih Bukhari and the garbages you have, only ignorant people will call such people scholars. Wallahi lazim. Wallahi lazim. Apart from that, let's see the next evidence. We go to chapter 4, verse 59. Again, this verse, the scholars twist it and lie to you. Again. Chapter 4, verse 59. Surah An-Nisa. As all of you can see, I'm losing my energy. The strength is going down because I'm almost 3 hours now. But don't worry, I'll finish the topic on time. Inshallah, there's no problem with that. Chapter 4, verse 59, these scholars, especially the Sunni scholars, they twist this verse. They lie to you. They twist it and bring it to their own context to suit their needs. Let's see what God says. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu atiwu allaha wa atiwu rasul. The Rasul has a definite article, adat tarif. Then he says, wa ulil amr minkum. Fa in tana'azatum fi shay'in farudduhu ila Allahi wa rasuli. In kuntum tu'minuna billahi wal yawmil akhir. Then he says, zalika khayrun wa asra ta'wila. What does it mean? O you who have believed, obey God and obey the messenger, as well as those in authority. When we say ulil amr, those of command, it's not talking about ulama. It didn't say ulil. It didn't say ulama minkum. No. It says ulil amr. Ulil amr means people in authority. A messenger has given people in authority at this time. Go to chapter 4, verse 83. Go and see the further clarification of what is ulil amr. It is at the time of the messenger, he put some people in charge to guide in terms of security, so that when there is a problem, he has given these people positions so that people can refer the problem to them, then it can be solved. But now God is saying, فَإِن تَنَازَعَتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ. If you have misunderstanding in anything, he didn't say go to the scholars again. He didn't say go to ulama, go to the ulil amr. No. فَإِن تَنَازَعَتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. Then you stop there. Now me and you cannot see God if we are arguing. Where can we go and meet God? So فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ means God and the messenger. That is the book of God. God is speaking here. The messenger is speaking here. Without the messenger delivering this, me and you cannot get it from God. You get the point? So, فَرُدُّهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. It didn't say one nabi. إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. A messenger delivers a message from God. It's simple as it is. So he says, فَإِن تَنَعَزَاتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ. It has nothing to do with going to the hadith. If you don't understand, they say, the scholars of the Sunnah, they will now tell you, Faruduhu ilallahi. Then you say, Allah means Quran. Then you say, wa Rasuli. Rasul means hadith. Look at the daycare nursery type of translations, interpretation they are doing. Let me get your scholars. So, they will not lie to you and tell you that if God says Faruduhu ilallahi wa rasuli, it means Allah means the Quran and then Rasul means the Sahih Bukhari. Wallahi, some scholars are not okay. They are not well. So now, let me show you the simple issue here. So when God says that, it means go to chapter 5, verse 101. The simple answer is there. It means go to God and the messenger means come to the Quran. So this is what God says. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu la tas'alu an ashiya'a in tubda lakum tasukum wa in tas'alu anha hina yunazzalu al-Qur'an tubda lakum afa Allahu anha wallahu ghafurun halim. Simple. Oh, you who have believed, or oh, you who believe, do not ask about things if made clear to you will distress you. Because if we are having misunderstanding, فَإِن تَنَعَزَاتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ, if you are having misunderstanding concerning your religion, and you start asking about matters, stupid questions, you get stupid answers. So God is now telling you as a believer that do not ask about things if made clear to you will distress you. Then he says what? وَإِن تَسْأَلُوا عَنْهَا هِينَ يُنَزَّلُ الْقُرْآنُ تُبْدَ لَكُمْ. But if you ask of it when the Quran was revealed, it shall be made clear to you, because God talks in a simple manner. God does not have to speak too much sentence to explain one thing to you. He just make it simple. It goes. If God never said this is haram, who are you to say it's haram? That is the simplicity of how God speaks. You got the point? So if God says this is haram, this is good, simple, we stop there. We don't argue and say, oh, how come the hadith is saying this? How many books did God give you as a Muslim? Hypocrites. Malakum kaifa takumun. أم لكم كتاب فيه تدرسون إن لكم فيه لما تخيرون. How do you do your judgment? How do you judge? Do you have another book where you study apart from the Quran that God give you? God give you? In that book, do you find whatever you want? In the Sahih Bukhari and the Sahih Muslim, do you find whatever you want? It's because you cannot find whatever you want in Sahih Bukhari, you went to Sahih Muslim. It's because you don't find whatever you want in Sahih Muslim, you went to Jami at-Tirmidhi. Because you don't find whatever you want, you went to Abu Dawood. And you keep fooling yourself over and over. Keep on going. Cross my path. You call yourself a scholar of the sectarians, Shia, Sunni. Well, let me see you one-on-one on the dialogue. Wallahi lazim. So now we go back to chapter 4, verse 59. So he says, فَإِن تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ. So going back to the God and the messenger is the Quran. Simple. It stops there. Nothing else. Then he says, if you should believe in God and the last day. The reason why God used the word, if you should believe in God and the last day, because according to chapter 2, verse 8, وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَقُولُ آمَنَّا بِاللَّهِ وَبِالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَمَا هُمْ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ. Among the people are those who say we believe in God and the last day, but they are lying. They are not believers. Believing is by actions. Ismail Ibrahim Agan Kasalam. Believing in God and the last day is by your actions, not by your verbal statements. According to chapter 12 of verse 106, God says most of the people who believe in God do not do so without doing shirka. So most of the people you see on earth who claim they are Sunni, Shia, Muslim, they are mushriks. Wallahi, I will tell them to their face, even behind them, even on wherever. They cannot face me face to face. Wallahi lazim. Wallahi. I tell them to their faces every day. The best they can tell me is I'm crazy. Oh, he's a madman. He's doing. That's all. Wallahi lazim. But they cannot match me. Wallahi, because I'm telling you the truth and nothing but the truth. I will not come and sit here and say, oh, according to my understanding or my opinion or the ulama or Imam Hanbali, Imam Maliki, Shafi, this is all jumbles or garbages they keep telling you. Who even told you this Imam Malik and Hanbali existed? Who? Who told you that? Now, let's go on. We are almost bringing the topic to an end, so I need to skip up now. So the reason of obeying God and the messenger is simple. When you go to chapter 4, verse 80, this has been explained simply by God. This is what God says. He says, Man yuti'ir rasula faqad ata Allah, wa man tawalla fama arsalnaka alayhim hafiza. Whoever obeys the messenger is what? Obeying God, has obeyed God. You get the point? Because you cannot see God face to face. According to chapter 6, verse 103, we cannot see God with your eyes. You cannot talk to God directly face to face. You get the point? So you can only communicate to God through the message He has given you. That's the Quran. And the messenger brought it. So whoever obeys the messenger is obeying God. You get the point? This is how it goes. It didn't say man yuti in nabiyya. It's not talking about the prophet here. An ignorant person will not understand the concept of what I'm trying to say. Muhammad as a human being had two assignments from God. He was a prophet of God and a messenger of God. So God speaks to him according to the two duties He has given him. Just like I can be a teacher and a police officer at the same time. When I'm on a teacher duty at the school, I teach the students. When I come home, I'm a police officer. I'm acting as a police. So I have to do the police duty. This is difficult for the ignorant scholars out there to understand. You get the point? So they will just say Atiullah, Atiur Rasul, and then they will twist your mind and start talking about the prophet. They don't know the difference. And this is what I'm here to enlighten you over. Be cautious when you are listening to the scholars. Whenever God says Atiullah wa Atiur Rasul, and you catch any scholar saying An-Nabi, stop him. Tell him, man, God says Rasul. Why are you saying Nabi? He will tell you, oh, come on, it's the same thing. Which school did you go? Seriously. Or which academics do you have? Which tells you that a prophet and a messenger, the word prophet is the same as the word messenger? Seriously? Now, what was the messenger giving? Only the Quran and nothing else. I give you the evidence. Chapter 6, verse 115, 115. The message God gave to Muhammad is only in the Quran, not outside the Quran and nowhere else. Let's see the evidence. وَتَمَّتْ كَلِمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ وَهُوَ السَّمِيعُ الْعَلِيمُ. The word of your Lord is complete in truth and justice. So the message God gave to Muhammad as a messenger, he is here, is complete in truth and justice. So if something is complete, do you get any other extra addition from somewhere else? How can you tell me, the hypocritical scholars, you tell me the Quran is full? That's what the scholars will tell you. They tell you, oh, the Quran, mashallah, is a complete book. Really? If it's complete book, what do I need the garbages you are giving me extra? For what? This is the message given to Muhammad alayhi salam. وَتَمَّتْ كَلْمَةُ رَبِّكَ صِدْقًا وَعَدْلًا لَا مُبَدِّلَ لِكَلِمَاتِهِ. This is the kalima of God. قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ الْبَارِ لِكَلِمَاتِ رَبِّي لَنَفِدَ الْبَارِ قَبْلَ أَن تَنْفَدَ كَلِمَاتِ رَبِّي وَلَوْ جِئْنَا بِمِثْلِهِ مَدَدًا. Chapter 18. Go to chapter 18, verse 109. God is telling you, if the oceans were ink for the words of God, the ocean will run out before the words of God runs out. So are you telling me if God wanted to make 10 books, he couldn't make it, and Sahih Bukhari has to do it for him? Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. Now, I take you to chapter 69, verse 43 to 48. A simple rule. Apart from the Quran, Muhammad never delivered any other book to the people. He never gave you any other garbages. The scholars are telling you Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, nothing like that. So I'm going to use the Quran to show you the evidence. When you go to chapter 69, verse 43, this is what it says. Tanzilu min Rabbil Alameen. Then verse 44. Walau takawwala alayna ba'd al-aqawil. Verse 45. La khazna minhu bil yamin. Verse 46. Thumma laqatana minhu al-watin. Verse 47. فَمَا مِنْكُمْ مِنْ أَحَدٍ أَنْهُ حَاجِزِينَ. Then verse 48. وَإِنَّهُ لَتَذْكِرَةٌ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Simple. Now let's see the meaning of the verses I just read. It says, a revelation from the Lord of the worlds. And if he, Muhammad, had fabricated some of the sayings about us, listen carefully, God gave him a complete word. Here, the word of your Lord is complete in truth and justice. That's the Quran. Maybe some people will know that the Quran is the complete word God gave to Muhammad. So I take you to chapter 10, verse 37 before I come back so that you can understand. Chapter 10, verse 37 says, وَمَا كَانَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ أَنْ يُفْتَرَى مِنْ دُونِ اللَّهِ وَلَكِنْ تَصْدِيقَ الَّذِي بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ وَتَفْصِيلَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ مِنْ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And this is not the Quran that could be invented by other than God. However, it is a confirmation of what was before it and an elaboration of the book. There is no doubt therein from the Lord of the worlds. So a complete book by God, the Quran, given to Muhammad. Now, good. Now let's go back to the verses I was reading previously. That is in chapter 69, verse 43 to verse 48. A revelation from the Lord of the worlds. That is the Quran. You can see. Then God says, and if he, Muhammad, had fabricated some of the sayings about us, just like they fabricate Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim is full of fabrication, lies. There is no one single hadith, wallahi al-azim, which comes from Muhammad, from the Sahih Bukhari or Sahih Muslim. I will give you the evidences today. There is no rush. Then God says, we will have seized him by the right hand. After God giving you a complete book, you tell me Muhammad will form garbages and give it to you again. Right? Then God says, then we will have cut the altar out of him. When we say altar, it is a kind of vein under the heart side. Normally people get cardiac arrest and all that, and this altar is connected to the heart. It pumps blood to the heart. And when this thing is cut off, there's no way you can survive. Before doctors open your chest, you are dead. So God says, then we will have cut the altar from him, and no one among you could have prevented for him. And indeed, it is a reminder for the pious. Just like it tells you in chapter 2, verse 2, ذَلِكَ الْكِتَابُ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ هُدًى لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. The pious. They are the only ones who will take this guidance of the book. We go on. So according to chapter 4, verse 64, this is what God says concerning a messenger. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَا مِن رَسُولٍ إِلَّا لِيُطَاعَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. We did not